What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the 2011 mixtape by Trina. Basically, this project is called Diamonds Are Forever, and it came out in the spring of 2011. Now, this is a pretty hit mixtape. This kind of came after Trina's hit album from 2010, Amazing. But the thing about that particular project was just the fact that Trina took like a 9-year gap between Amazing and her 2019 album, which I don't remember what that particular album was called, but it was kind of a disappointment that Trina took that 9-year break. But I would have to say that this is a pretty hit mixtape. This had a charting single on here and it had a couple. Diamonds Are Forever was a hit mixtape. It had a couple music videos released for it as far as that kind of happens, and one charting single, which was Red Bottoms. Pretty nice hit to kind of get that particular song. But I'd have to say just the pitch behind this particular project just did a lot of things right. And this is definitely a pretty sheer and overall quality mixtape, I'd have to say. Definitely like the overall kind of appeal about it. This was released at a time when music was starting to shift a little bit as trap was starting to become more popular and EDM was starting to become popular and things like that. You had Nicki Minaj and Young Money, and then you had Future and Gucci Mane and some of those type folks. So Trina was kind of, Trina had been around since the early 2000s, so it's an interesting fold to kind of see her within this relative pitch to see what she was up to around this time. She did manage to get a hit, a charting single off this particular project, but I look after it. I'm glad that she amalgamated well to this, just because there's definitely some varietized type stuff on here. There's like some makeshift kind of songs, there's some R&B type songs. I definitely like the amalgamated hits on this particular project because there's some R&B type songs on here. There's definitely some night pizzazz I definitely appreciate, and there's just some overall kind of nice ones that just kind of have like some standard day fare as far as that kind of happens. There's even some summer songs and just some overall stunting and stepping out songs for the ladies as far as that kind of happens. It's definite good pitches to kind of get. For a mixtape, this barely feels like this should be a mixtape just because of the fact of how quality it is. It definitely is the concept that this is just basically like this would basically almost be like a damn near Trina album, I'd have to say. Definitely like the pitch over it. I feel like DJ Illwell and DJ Holiday did a great job with helping out with Trina. I feel like DJ Illwell and DJ Holiday did a great job of helping out with Trina as far as this kind of particular thing kind of happened. This is definitely album quality, and this might as well be like the next notable project that you pick up after like the Trina album Amazing from 2010, I'd have to say. But so basically on this mixtape there were 17 songs on here, and out of those 17 I wound up recommending 212, so that's quite a bit. Like I was saying, this mixtape is going to get a pretty rave score. We'll go ahead and talk about the singles off this particular project, and then we'll get towards it. So the first single was Diamonds Are Forever, and I don't really recommend this song that much. It was just kind of, the first single off this project was Diamonds Are Forever, and I don't really recommend this song that much. It was just kind of a poor one. This was trying to be like a bustling type one, just kind of a more trap heavy type tune, or just kind of nightclub pizzazz, kind of similar to Same Damn Time by Future as far as that kind of happens. Just didn't like the overall beat production, pitch, and just kind of composition of that particular one. Just was trying to have like a trap or die kind of oriented type. I was trying to have like a trap or die and Same Damn Time type productiveness in the production fair as far as that kind of went, but it just didn't pull it off quite as well as far as that kind of went. It was just kind of one that I just didn't see the meshing and compellingness of the nature behind it. It's not like it's a horrid song, but I just look at it, it's just not one that I really gelled with that much, I'd have to say. But that's one of the few songs on this particular project. For the most part, this is a pretty blistering and overall sheer project that's definitely, I would have to say this might be one of Trina's just sheer best projects. I do like Still the Baddest from 2008, and I don't own Glamorous Life from 2005, but I do like that one from what I remember of it. But this project Diamonds Are Forever is better. But this project Diamonds Are Forever is better than both those projects from 2005 and 2008. I'd have to say it's just a good pitch. This is pretty much my favorite Trina album. This is basically my favorite Trina project thus far, as from what I've seen with it. Definitely had some contemporary type pitches and just overall hittiness. But the second single off this particular mixtape, and this was a charting single off this project, was Red Bottoms. So Red Bottoms is basically like a bass heavy nightclub pounder. I'd have to say it's a stellar dance bump that this song particularly kind of has, and it's just a vintage crunk kind of turn up song. So I definitely like the appeal of this particular one. It's just a heavy hitting type one, has long hair Red Bottoms chant chorus, has long hair Red Bottoms chant in the chorus as far as that kind of happens. This is definitely a pretty humid and kind of tense type nightclub pounder as far as that kind of happens. It's a good kind of exhilarating type one to kind of have on like some night fare, and this is just an overall easy hit for Trina. I definitely like the appeal of this particular one. It's just kind of one just great for the stepping out kind of fare and just kind of having like some exhilarating energy. There definitely need, I mean, this is a song that charted for Trina in the R&B and hip hop charts, and it's easy to see why. I'd have to say this is just an easy kind of highlighted regular kind of night kind of hit as far as that kind of happens. Just like the pitch of this particular one, it's just a nightclub pounder that just does a lot of fare and just has just a nightclub pounder that just has a lot of fare and just overall stellarness. Definitely think there should be more songs like this. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing that there isn't. It's just kind of the concept that she probably would have had a lot more hits just within that. It's not to say that she doesn't have other hits on par with this particular song. This is just a real kind of standout song, I'd have to say, from Trina's overall catalog. So it's a pretty good, nice one to kind of get. But the rest of this particular project, it's probably easier just to say the songs it's probably just easier to say the 5 songs I don't recommend as far as that kind of happens, and then we'll get to the songs I do recommend. So the 5 songs I don't recommend on here would just be Diamonds Are Forever. The 5 songs I don't recommend would be Diamonds Are Forever, Blackbird, No More, I'm Known Outro, and the Ghetto remix. So basically, I felt like the Ghetto remix didn't contribute to much. That's just the same. Ghetto remix is just the same song, just with male rappers on there. I just like the Trina version better, so I'd have to say I didn't recommend that one. No More is just kind of like a ballad-esque type R&B pop type song that just didn't work that well. I felt like a better variation of that was just Can I with Maya. That was the better one to kind of get in that pitch, but that one was just kind of a blunder. I'm Known, the outro was just kind of not that compelling of a song. It was a decent little kind of floaty type song that was just kind of here and there, just kind of a decent outro, but just didn't really jump off the page that much as far as what I would have seen with it and wanted, how often I would have went to listen to it. And I'd have to say Blackbird just didn't really like the production of that particular one. It was just kind of one, it was almost like a pasted type one, but just didn't really. Blackbird was just kind of a brewing type song that I just didn't vibe with quite as much. So that's just another one. Just small amounts of blunders on here, not many. I'd have to say this is a pretty sure mixtape. So like to talk about Ghetto, this is a pretty good highlight on here. Like the T-Pain hook on here, definitely. This is a real nice tune. I'd have to say this is just a late day kind of sunny summer haze of a song. I'd have to say it's just a low key kind of typical day fare that it has, and this definitely like this definitely has like a stellar T-Pain hook. I'd have to say, and it's just an overall bop. So this one's just kind of like a standard kind of. Ghetto's just kind of like a typical kind of day type fare, just late day kind of haze as far as that kind of happens. Just a sunny kind of summer pitch, just something to listen to at like 4:35 p.m. is like the sun's starting to set, just within that sort of pitch. Just regular kind of day stuff like that. Just has a pretty regular kind of T-Pain hook. It hits pretty well. This is one of T-Pain's better hooks out of 2011. I'd have to say, definitely like the appeal of this particular one. It's just kind of a standard type song, and it's a basic type song, but it hits pretty heavily. Just like the overall appeal of this one. Like that Trina can make ghetto type songs and have them hit as far as that kind of happens. Just a low key type one that just does a lot of things right as far as that kind of happens. Way So Skinny is a pretty nice one. This has Rick Ross on there. This is a pretty pounding type song. This one's definitely kind of like a prowling kind of night bravado of a song, I'd have to say. It's just a good night venue pizzazz that this song particularly kind of has, and it's just more of a stunt song than a dance song. So this is definitely one just for the women to kind of stunt a little bit. There's definitely some female flex songs, I'd have to say, just for some female kind of bravado. I definitely would feel like this is just kind of a woman kind of just being out and about and just kind of stunting as far as that would kind of go. Just kind of within that context. This is just kind of one for like Trina and her girls as far as that kind of happens, just stunting and kind of looking flashy as far as that kind of pizzazz kind of happens. I like the Rick Ross verse on here. It definitely helps the song. I'd have to say it's just an overall kind of highlighted one. It's just, but once again, it's more of a stunt song than a dance song. This one's not quite as frivolous, I'd have to say, but it's just kind of like a kind of flex kind of song for women. That's kind of the concept about it. But then the next one, but then iPhone's a pretty nice one. Really like the jazzy kind of appeal of this particular song. This is like a jazzy kind of evening pizzazz of a song, I'd have to say. It's just the song just has a nice flashy pace, I'd have to say, and it's just a quick times and candid kind of thorough. And the song is just a candid kind of thorough night, I'd have to say. So I definitely like the appeal of this particular one. This is one of the more ritzy kind of songs on here. This one's pretty similar to Bad Bitch and Red Bottoms and some of those type ones as far as that kind of particularly kind of happens. Just like the overall appeal of this one. This one just kind of feels busy. This one just feels like a little bit more bustling type fare as far as that kind of happens. Just kind of in motion, I'd have to say. Just a good snazzy kind of one. Just kind of phone centric as far as that kind of happens, but just a nice pitch to kind of get within that fold, I'd have to say. Can I is a pretty nice one. This has Maya on the hook, and this is more of like an R&B type tune. This one pulls it off better than No More kind of does, but I'd have to say Can I is kind of like an R&B smooth, satiny kind of hit with just a nice groove about it. This is a homely fare of a song, but it pulls off the slower. This is a homely fare, but it pulls off the slower tempo a lot better, I'd have to say. So I just like the concept of this particular one. Just a real nice R&B type tune, especially for a mixtape, just because R&B doesn't always do mixtapes as far as that would kind of happen. It's just been a while since most folks have fucked with Maya, so this is a good approach to kind of have Trina and Maya do this particular song and nail it as far as that kind of goes. Definite nice one. Bad Bitch, which feels like a vintage kind of Trina song, is a pretty good one. This is like a good stunt song for the ladies, I'd have to say. This is like a vivid kind of night glamour and pizzazz of a song, I'd have to say, and it's just an overall icebreaker. So there's definitely kind of some prowling songs on this particular album. I feel like Way So Skinny, Bad Bitch, and there's like one other one I'd have to say, maybe iPhone, or just some particular ones where Trina's kind of stunting and flexing a little bit. Just the female bravado type stuff, I'd have to say. It definitely feels like Bad Bitch would be a song like that. Just a female kind of stunt song to look nice and just overall jazzy as far as that kind of happens. Just the concept of it's pretty like grade A as far as that kind of happens. It's just good for a mixtape to kind of get some of these and just have some of these stunt songs when the album is free as far as that kind of goes. But it's just a good pitch to kind of have. Rich Bitch is a pretty nice one. Definitely like the appeal of this particular song. This is like a vanilla kind of summer in the wind pep of a song. Definitely, this is like a great cruise and carefree kind of bop. I definitely would have to say, and this is just good for some midday kind of fun. I would definitely feel like so. This is kind of one that like Trina. Rich Bitch is just the kind of summer breeze that someone like Tupac would kind of do. Just songs like off of All Eyes on Me and some of those type pitches. Just a real great ride out kind of song to kind of have just in the wind and the summer haze. As far as I kind of have, is just a real nice one to kind of have within that kind of vanilla kind of pitch. Just an overall highlight. Just really like the kind of malaise and kind of carefree type vibes of this particular one. It's so mundane and lackadaisical, but I like the appeal that it pulled it off. It's not mundane in quality, I'd have to say. But then Put Them Bottles Up. This is a shorter song, but it's definitely a pretty good highlight on here. I definitely like the refined kind of night out suaveness of this particular song. It's just a good highlight to kind of get within that sense. This song's kind of more of a fine wine and less hard liquor type song, I'd have to say. It's just an overall kind of Dougie kind of song. And this is just an overall kind of Dougie kind of song, I'd have to say. So I definitely like the pitch of this particular one. This particular song, Put Them Bottles Up, reminds me of something that Kanye West would have done with like a more bar hopping type feel as far as that kind of goes. Just the pitch of like some fine wine kind of stuff like that. Trina kind of being on some more fancy and kind of more sophisticated type fare as far as that kind of pitch. We definitely kind of having a ritzy kind of song, but I definitely like the refinedness of this particular one. So it's a good highlight. Amazing is a pretty nice highlight on here also. This is like a glossy kind of shopping and commercial snaz, I'd have to say. It has an Akon-like hook. Whoever did this hook, which I think is like Black Dada, I'd have to say is a pretty nice Akon-like hook that he particularly nailed. So it just has real good pitch if you like Akon. This is just like a good early 2010s promo hit, I'd have to say. So this one just has like that promo type feel, stepping out, looking a little bit jazzy as far as I kind of have. It's just within the correct pitch of kind of getting some of that fold. It's a real nice glossy type one to kind of have. Another ritzy one from Trina as far as I have. It's just a nice pitch to kind of have that. Convert Me is a pretty good highlight. This is another highlighted one, I'd have to say. This is like a bop-ish kind of shopping and breezy kind of affable times of a song, I'd have to say. It's just got some pop rap vibes and overall commercial bites. I definitely like the appeal of this particular one. This is one. I definitely like the fact that Trina had some shopping tunes on here. Just something you'd hear in a shopping mall if shopping malls were to play mixtapes and stuff like that. This is just kind of like some bop-ish type stuff. Just really has commercial pop rap type fare about it. It's just interesting. If you like songs like Whatever You Like by T.I. and Live Your Life by T.I., some of those type ones that just have a lot more bounce and commercial kind of shopping type pop, I feel like songs like Amazing and Convert Me are definitely some good ones to kind of have in that sort of pitch. Definitely like the appeal of some of those. And then there's some heavy hitting ones on here that definitely are pretty similar to like Red Bottoms. These probably just have like a little bit heavier pitch about them, but Beautiful Body is definitely one of those particular type ones. This is like a paced, Beautiful Body is basically like a paced kind of electro night venue hit of a song, I'd have to say. It's just got a blistering kind of dance snap about it, and it just has vivid appeal, I would have to say. The song just has a blistering dance snap about it, and it just has some vivid appeal, I'd have to say. So I definitely like the appeal of this particular one. This is one of the roughest songs on the particular mixtape as far as that kind of goes. Just like the overall kind of snapping, just overall riveting and just engaging kind of pace that it particularly kind of has. The only other song that really matches that pace apart from Red Bottoms and Beautiful Body would just be Hit It Right, which is another good highlight from Trina. Definitely a pretty rampant song. I like some of these rampant songs from her as far as that kind of happens, especially when her lyrics get raunchy. It's just a good pitch to kind of have. It's just like a low-key kind of electric rumbler, I'd have to say. It's just a basic kind of night out, but it's a basic night out, but it's some shaking kind of residential heat. So I feel like this is a pretty good night out song to kind of have in like a nightclub. But once again, if you would hear Hit It Right is a pretty good dance club type song to hear if you were to hear mixtape stuff in a dance club, something like that. But I definitely have to say this is like a shaking kind of residential type song. This is a great song. This is a great song to kind of hear in a residential type fare, just around the house, just have some ladies play this song and just really be wowed by it. As far as I kind of have just some good appeal to kind of have just a real nice highlight to kind of get, and this overall has some great energy. Hit It Right is a definite highlight for Trina, and this probably could have been a single if it had been promoted correctly, I'd have to say. So that's a good pitch about this particular project. So that's basically the mixtape. So me recommending 12 out of 17 songs on this particular project, I'm going to go ahead and give this mixtape like a 9.25 out of 10. I feel like it's a pretty visceral quality. It just has a lot of things going for it. Just does a lot of things right. Just really has sheer quality, some hit single, has a hit single on here, a charting single, this overall variety that works, some summer songs, some ladies songs, some nightclub songs, some eviscerating kind of energy, some kind of busy and fluffy, some commercial shopping type tunes, some fluff, and some frou-frou kind of female bravado type songs that just give her the sexiness type vibes that she needs, and just stuff like that, I'd have to say. It's an overall good pitch to kind of have, just like the overall vibes of it. 9.25, just barely missed. This was probably about a song shy of getting like a 10 out of 10, I'd have to say. With the social score, I'm going to go ahead. With the social score of this album, I'm going to go ahead and give it 10 out of 10. Just did so many things right, had a lot of eviscerating kind of quality as far as I kind of went. Just had all these particular type songs in like like a lot of good pizzazz and flashiness. Just plenty of good affairs and appeals as far as Trina particularly kind of had. Just did a lot of things between the contemporary songs, the nightclub songs, the shopping songs, the stuff like that, the female bravado, these type things, just the motion. She just put a lot of things in motion and nailed these prospects and nailed them well, I'd have to say. So nailed them well, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept to kind of get that. And this is definitely one of Trina's best projects. I just would have to say this was a complete surprise, just out of nowhere. This kind of happened, just a hit album, just that just nailed it, and it's better than some of her albums. I'd have to say, just an overall good pitch. It's free, so I definitely have to recommend it. So 10 social as far as that kind of happens. In terms of the future, I'm not really sure what Trina's been up to in recent times. I know she's at least dropped an album in 2019, I'd have to say, and I know she's done some features for like Mulatto as far as that kind of happens. So she's done some recent stuff, at least some features here and there as far as that kind of happens. But we'll have to see what's up with some other projects. I do definitely want to get to some more of her mixtapes and things like that. Maybe her 2002 album, some of those type pitches. But I'd have to say this is basically damn near a classic mixtape, I'd have to say. And I basically would have to say it probably is a classic mixtape just in terms of sheer quality and just overall heavy hittingness. So it's definitely something I easily recommend. Just check it out. It's got plenty of stuff to fuck with.